Ted, let's get to your match. Yourself and Virgil are taking on Dusty Rhodes and Dustin Rhodes, and you'll capture the victory by pinning Dusty. Before the finish, you beat up on Virgil too, and now that the match is over, you want him to get back to work for you. Let's drop in on this famous moment.
Look at the eyes on Virgil.
Get the belt, Virgil, now! Now!
Oh, Virgil. Don't do it, Birch! I understand you got to keep a job.
I'm not paying you to take your time. Get the belt!
There comes a point. Obviously, Virgil don't have no point. I'll wash my hands of it, man.
One more lesson from the $1 Million Man right here. Now get in here and wrap that thing around my waist. Wrap it around my waist.
Gonna be the story of your life, huh, Virgil?
Wait! Oh, threw it down! Yes! What do you think you're doing? You get down there and you pick that belt up right now and you wrap it around my waist. Need I tell you, need I remind you one more time about your family, about your mother?
Give me a break. Oh, you pig. Virgil, remember, it just don't matter.
Pick it up!
Remember, Virgil, there comes a point.
Wrap it around my waist.
What, are you going to leave it for the rest of your life? How humiliating.
That's right. That's right. Like I always say, everybody's got a price. Oh,
Jeff Pop.
Listen to this capacity crowd. We love it.
Crowd going nuts.
Virgil milking it, doing a great job.
He did. I mean, he really did that well. God bless him. I just wish that he had just a little more, I don't know. He just in-ring talent. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I bet, but in terms of all of his facials and the timing of, you can see him just starting to brew, and he did it extremely well.
He took his time. I think a lot of guys would have rushed into reaching down and picking the belt back up, but he took his time and he milked it. And then afterwards, kind of the slow look around to the crowd, like I finally did it. Man, really well done by Virgil there.
Yeah. I just wish, if he'd have been able to wrestle, it was just so hard, to have a match with him. Just was. And we got what we could out of it. And I just, again, for him, I wish that it could have gone on longer.
Now, when you're going into this angle with him and you're about to start working with him and, you're going to get to Mania, of course, did you already know at that point that there was really kind of nothing under the hood from a wrestling perspective, or was that something that you discovered as you started to work with him?
I pretty much knew it. I can remember, I can't remember a couple of the other guys who had been around him because he had been in a couple of territories, and they said they told me, they said he really doesn't have a good grip on the skills of wrestling. But the interview he did there that night, not even an interview, just the whole thing was him and his expression, and that's what got the dang thing over.
Yep.
And I sincerely, wished that it could have gone on longer, for him.
Now, when you hear that crowd reaction, even knowing that Virgil is not a gifted in-ring performer, maybe doesn't quite have the charisma or the X factor necessary to be a super successful wrestler, when you heard that crowd reaction, were you optimistic? Like, hey, I think that this is going to be something, or did you kind of know it would never really reach its full potential?
Uh, yeah, well, I knew it wouldn't reach its full potential because every he couldn't. He just his wrestling was very awkward. It was and he
There's only so much you can get out of him.
there's only so much you could get out of him. Yeah,
Hey, look, I think it's also worth noting that you got cut by the belt there a little bit. I don't know if you saw it, but you were bleeding. Your forehead was bleeding right after being hit.
Virgil wasn't. Just got a little excited, but that actually, now that you said that, I remember.
You do remember getting cut?
Back in the dressing room, I said, "Virg, next time, just remember, keep your hand between me and the belt." And I started laughing, and he started laughing too. So
it's funny because I just talked to Jim about Virgil on the Hacksaw Hour, which came out yesterday as this podcast drops. And he told the story about Jim was wrestling you, and he's kind of running around the outside of the ring, and Virgil comes out of nowhere and hits him with a really, really stiff clothesline. Jim said that he got backstage and he started yelling at Virgil, like, "Hey, come on, you got to be a professional." And you stuck up for Virgil and said, "Hey, Jim, wasn't that long ago that you were hitting me with those kind of clotheslines, pal?"
yeah,
And I think that settled Jim down a little bit.
yeah.
It's funny. But I mean, Mike was just inexperienced, not reckless, right?
Yeah, just inexperienced, not reckless. I mean, he was legitimately a nice guy. It's just bad set of circumstances.